at a time. Yeah, this is tea time. Yeah, making a difference. One cup at a time. Tea time. So be sure to grab your tea, grab a seat, and tune in to Miss Liz. Tea time. Making a difference. One cup at a time. Tea time, yeah. Tea time.
Well, welcome to Tea Time. You know what that means. It means that it's storytelling time in words. And today we have a different type of tea that is going to be being hosted by Jason Jehorex. We're going to talk about free speech and protecting your data online and all that good stuff. So Jason's going to take us through a slideshow. So for all the audio listeners, if you'd like to check out the video, you can check over on Miss Liz's YouTube channel, where I'm going to get you to go right now and ring that little doorbell so you can subscribe to Miss Liz's YouTube channel, be notified when all these Tea Time shows are live. And if you'd like to take part in the live stream with your comments, questions, support, and all that good stuff, if it's related to the conversation, Miss Liz will get it out there. If you'd like to stay anonymous and not let anybody know who you are and where you're watching from, you can also DM Miss Liz through me on my Facebook page, and I will get those questions out to Jason as well during the show. So before we get started, we're going to get the disclaimer out there. We're going to get the bio, and then we're going to get Jason in here, and we're going to spill a cup of tea. But today's tea is education, certified, and accomplishments. So that's the type of tea that we'll be serving today with all of you guys. So, disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live show. Miss Liz, myself, is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment, please grant StreamYard permission to see your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that the content brought forward for any Tea Time show hosted by myself, Miss Liz, is always brought forward in good faith. However, it may bring forward dialogues and opinions that are not representative of my platform. The facts and information are perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All Tea Time guests and audience participants are responsible for using their good judgment and taking any action that may relate to the discussion. The content brought forward may include discussions for some where they may be emotionally at risk. It is significant to know that this show is engaging in discussion forums only to offer and inspire awareness and connection, and is not providing therapeutical advice. If you have any questions about the disclaimer or the panelist discussion, you may freely contact me, Miss Liz, through my email at bookingmissliz@gmail.com. Moving forward, should you choose to voluntarily participate in today's show in any aspect, I myself, Miss Liz, welcomes you. And should you decide that the show is not made for you at this time, I respect those wishes, and we'll see you at a later show at a later date and time. And again, all Tea Time shows, original dates are Thursday, 3 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you see a Tea Time on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and even a Friday, which is happening next on Friday, it is a rescheduled Tea Time, special Tea Time, or a rescheduled Tea Time. Now, a little bit on my guest. Well, who is Jason? Well, I met Jason through Alignable. So if you haven't seen Alignable, go over and check out that platform as well. It's an amazing networking platform. And Jason reached out to me. So Jason is from a small town in Brule, NE, and started farming just after college. What could have gone better? Jason left farming in 1994 with $400 in his pocket and began his IT career in Omaha, NE. I'm not sure what NE stands for, but I'll get Jason to say it. At Rent a Computer, buying and selling computers. He had a few small jobs and then worked at IBM for 27 years. Jason retired from IBM in May in 2024 and is now the CEO of FCN4U, Free Community Network for You. FCN4U is a digital marketing platform for content creators and readers. The platform fosters free speech and drives knowledge, growth, and profit for content creators and businesses worldwide. FCN4U is about building stronger communities where the people are the new media. So let me get Jason in here and let's spill some tea together. Welcome, Jason.
Hey, thank you, Miss Liz. Appreciate it. This is awesome.
Well, and you know, and I had to do a couple little shout outs, right, for how we met and all our little journey together.
Well, going back, I'm from Brule, Nebraska. So NE stands for Nebraska. And I'm a farmer at heart. I did a lot of farming back there, but then I got in my IT degree. I got a business administration with an emphasis in management information systems and a information systems degree. So I got a double degree and a minor. Then I worked for IBM for 27 years. Had a couple small jobs before then, but in 2020, I started getting in election integrity and said, we've got a problem. And I started digging in really deep. I spent 2 years traveling all over North Carolina and Nebraska, looking at the data represented. And the problem is that I couldn't find a platform that would present this information without getting shut down. And the only people that were listening to us were people who are concerned about the elections. Well, that's just a repeat of what they've already know. How do we get in front of the people who are not listening, right? So, and that's where I came up with Free Community Network and trying to figure it out. And so we met kind of around about when I was just searching online and trying to get, notified. And I got on Alignable and I got on a few other places. And that's kind of how we met, through the grapevine, I would say.
Right? Connect the dots.
Exactly. So anyway, I want to really thank you for your time and allowing me to come to your platform and with your team here. We've got a lot of great things that are coming away for the people, okay? Because it's all about content creation and getting found. And the one area, and please stop me if I'm going down too far, if you want to go in a different direction. But when I started going through this with election integrity and looking at it with my partner and I, trying to figure out how do we get in front of the right people? How do we replace Google? Okay, that's a massive discussion, because how do you replace Google when Google has almost 90% of all traffic, it goes through Google, right? So in order for us to do that, we sat back and said, well, content creators are the key. Well, everybody can have their own website, right? So what makes us so better than everybody else when you can have a WordPress website is relatively free, or a Wix website, and you can create content? Well, the key to it is that Google steals all of your keywords, your images and videos. Now I say steal because they call it SEO, search engine optimization. And they go grab all that data and they make a massive database. And that database allows people to go to their browser and search for content. And they have an easy way to find the content. Well, that is a centralized system, okay? In order for people to find your content, you got to centralize that data. So you got one location to be able to go find content about, health or politics or education. It doesn't matter what it is, right? You got to have all that data centralized to be able to find that data, but you want to make it decentralized so that it's not being controlled by these corporations. Okay. So I've spent the last year, we've actually been live to be able to create content on Free Community Network for I would say the last year. Okay. We ran into some challenges with funding because this is very expensive. We've already got $600,000 invested into this, and we got about $2.5 million left to build. Okay.
Wow.
So we had to go find investors. So I traveled all over the United States looking for investors. I got some guys in Phoenix. I got some people in Washington State that I'm working with. And by that connections, I found out that, how do we protect people's data, the hardware, the software, and get us out of the corporations that are controlling us? And then how does the law work and the legal side of this whole thing, right? Because if we're going to deal with money, we've got to be able to figure out, well, money controls everything in the world, if you think about it. And it's a centralized system of control, and that's the US dollar. Okay.
Well,
Now,
Jason, let's get, and before we get into all of that, let's talk about the law, because for the listeners that might not know what the law is, let's talk about what the law is.
all right, that's a very good question. The law is an acronym, and a lot of people don't know this because they don't teach this in our schools. The law stands for land, air, and water. Land is common law. Okay. Well, what is common law? Common law is the 10 Commandments. It's the common law. It's God's laws. Okay. And that's what you follow. Did I hurt my fellow man? And if I did, I better be recourse for it, right? And have honor and respect, and make sure that that person gets satisfied for the hurt that we did to him. The air over the lands and the water. So land, air, and water. The air is trust laws, trusts that go over the lands and the air. So it's in the air, kind of like. And W is water, which is maritime or contract law. And we as human beings, and this goes for everybody in the world, we're all under water. Okay. And we're dead. Okay. If you ever watch the movies, and let me tell you, movies always, all this stuff plays into movies. The Walking
Exactly.
Dead.
I've been saying that for years, Jason, and nobody wants to hear this from Miss Liz, but I'm like, listen to the movies, guys.
Absolutely. And The Walking Dead, well, that movie, The Walking Dead, who are these Walking Dead? Well, we may not have our arms falling off and skin falling off of us, but we're all dead because we're all underneath the water. You can't be a living human being and be part of commerce, but we are. Okay. What if you go look at your driver's license, all caps letters? Why? Go look at your deed, all caps letters. Go look at your credit cards, all caps letters. Why is that? Because that's considered a straw man, and that's puts you underneath the water. So how did we get tied to the W of commerce when we really should be on the land as kings and queens? Okay, everybody. So if you own property, you should be the king of your property or queen of your property. Okay, but when you go look at a deed, you know what it says? Tenant at large. A deed. You don't actually own it. Who owns it? The bank does. Okay, it's all about commerce. So I'm getting down to the weeds here, but I need to kind of lay the point out here, because this is very important of how each individual got tied to it, because maritime and commerce and contract laws, whenever you sign something, that's a contract. Okay. You can have a tacit agreement, which is verbal contracts. You don't even have to shake hands or put your signature out there. But if you step back to when you were born, and remember, well, before I do that, because I want to jump the gun here. Let's talk about maritime law, commerce law, contract law. It's money. Okay. What is money? Money is currency. Now, is this a play on words? Currency. Remember water, right? Land, air, and water. Current is a current in a water, and electricity, kind of like, because we're all electricity. A current, and sea is the ocean. Okay. Now, when you look at the rivers flowing from the lands to the ocean, what holds them in on the sides? They're called what? Banks. Currency flows through the banks that goes to the ocean. Well, what is the ocean? And in the United States, the ocean is the IRS. Well, who created the IRS? Okay, remember, this is a play on words. The IRS, remember, we pay taxes, right?
Yeah.
And that taxes goes to some form of an IRS. Now, in Canada, it may be something else, but in the United States, it's the IRS. Okay, well, is the IRS a government agency? Nobody's ever asked that question. No.
That is a good question, Jason.
Nobody asked that question. So the IRS is a for-profit corporation. And where does the IRS be located at? It's in the territory, not a state, called Washington, D.C. It is. So who created that? And when was it created? And why?
These are all good questions, right?
Headquarters. Yes. So
right.
what I did
These are all good questions. And for all the listeners out there, if you have any answers or comments or anything that you'd like to ask Jason or get into the conversation with us, like, you're more than welcome to join. Yeah, these are good questions that I've never heard anybody ask, Jason.
Exactly. So now you're tied. Okay. So now we found out what the IRS is. It's a for-profit bank. Have you heard about the book about the Jekyll Islands? Creatures of the Jekyll Island.
No.
Okay, that's a book where the bankers created an 1871 act in the United States, created the IRS and created a bank and tied everybody to the IRS. How did they do that? Because when you think about the land, air, and water, and when you have a baby, the man is the seed and the woman has the baby in her stomach. It's in water. Okay. It's amazing how all these things are tied together. So you're in the water, in the womb of the baby. You go through the canal. Remember, it's about land, air, and water. There's canals all over the place, and you're born to land. And what did your parents do? Through the Act of 1871 and 1913, around that time period, birth certificates came out. Well, a birth certificate is you sign a legal document or a contract that puts you in the water. Now you're dead because you cannot be a living human being and be in water. You're underneath the water, just like Disney. Remember the Disneys, the mermaids, and they're talking about in the water, in the water. You know what I mean? They're talking about how great it is to be in the water. You really don't want to. You want to be on the land where you're the king and queen of your property and your domain and everything you own. Do you own any property? Do you pay tax on it? You don't own it. Do you own a car and you pay tax on it? You don't own it. What do we own? You own nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Right. But you're going to pay tax on everything. And where does that tax go? It goes to the corporations. It doesn't even go to your government. It doesn't even fund our government. It goes to these corporations. And you know it's voluntary. You don't have to do it. You comply because they don't teach this in our schools because they don't want you to know about the law. What is common law, the trust laws and maritime law. They just want you to know that, hey, you just need to go. And when you go to college and you get a higher degree, what's that mean to them? You pay more taxes because you're making more money. Yeah. And when you're broke, you're considered what? When you're broke, you're considered under water. Okay.
And we amazing? Always go towards the water, right? When we want healing, we go to the water.
The waters are so healing. I got a little note here of what this is. I want to play a little game with you. When you're broke, you say what? You're underwater. When you want to buy a car or house, you need to have ownership. Remember, who are these pirates on the high seas that are controlling us with the words we use? Yeah. When you want to be a citizen of a nation, it's called citizenship. When you want to go into business with someone, you go to partnership. When you want to learn a new trade, you get a apprenticeship. When you want to go to college and have someone pay for it, it's called a scholarship. When you want to go get married, you get a license in your contract. That's another partnership. And by the way, who did you marry? Did you marry your wife or did you marry the state? Remember? Triangle. You married the state and dotted line to your husband and wife. You did not make, because you signed a contract. Back in the old days, you had a Bible where you filled out your name and the births and the deaths and the marriages in the Bible to keep track of your records. Now it's all done publicly for you and on public records. When you want to drive a car and go to another location, it's called township. And here's the one that really threw me. When you want to go to church, you go to worship. All about money.
We're on a ship for everything.
Exactly. Almost. Well,
we're on the water, guys. Like we're
water.
riding the ships all over.
And we're underneath the water because you're dead. And you cannot be live and being sold. Remember, so now I stepped back and said that. So when you got a birth certificate and you signed it over, they create a CUSIP number or a social security number, an insurance policy. When you're being bought and sold on the stock market every day and you don't even know it. Okay, you're worth millions, and not just people in the United States. This goes worldwide. Okay, and this is what the change is happening with what I hate to say this. I don't know if everybody loves Trump or not, but it doesn't matter because all of the financial system is changing. It's coming back to the power. In 2016 and 2017, Trump said this during inauguration: I'm not moving power from a government to another government or from Democrat to a Republican. I'm bringing power back to the people. If you don't believe me, you have to do the research and you'll find out. That is so awesome about that. And then how do we become private? How do you get to be in private? Because everything's in the public. Go look up your house. You can go find out where you live, and everybody in the world knows who you are. Everything. There's nothing private anymore because you need to have everything in private. That's where the land to trust laws, where you create your own unincorporated association with a business trust and your holding trust to hold your assets. Okay. And then you have trustees and all that. I'll never have an LLC again, because I'm always going to have a trust, because a trust puts me into private, and I never have to report my information or to a federal government or to another bank or an agency again. And that's what ties back to FCN4U, because I had to go figure all this out. And as a matter of fact, it's been out there for decades, and there are a lot of great people that teach this. Okay. So, and I'm no expert in that area, but I tell you, I had to figure that out, because how do we get a system that people can create content, publish content for free, create events, and then have our own store to sell our products, because we don't want to have be controlled by Amazon, which is another big corporation, right? Everybody should have their own products and services that they're selling, and you should never have to pay tax on it.
Jason,
Because
did you know about Amazon not paying taxes?
yeah, I'm never paying taxes again. Now, that doesn't mean I'll never pay taxes, because I believe there'll be consumption tax coming, which is sales tax, but I'll never pay the IRS again, because you have to voluntarily pay it. When you get your W-2 form from your company, who created that? Where did it come from? What is a W-2, right? And so if you don't know what it is, you just think you have to do it. And so you do it, because that's the way my dad did it. That's why my mom does it. That's the way my grandparents did it. It's been going on for over 200 years. The Act of 1871 took the Constitution of America and changed it to say the Constitution for America, and tied a corporation to it. And then in 1913, after the bankers got together, they tied the Social Security or the birth certificates as a contract and put you in the water. Okay. There used to be greenbacks, and everything used to be backed by gold and silver. What is the US dollar? It's a piece of paper. Man, you tear it up, it's worth nothing. It's all the value of our money is what we give it. Okay. Yeah. And so that's where we're going to with Free Community Network, is your own wallet. Okay. And we're going to be setting that up. And then within that wallet, you're going to be able to have your own wampum coin. So you could create a territory and make more money through your own currency on there. And so we got long ways to go there, but this is what we're headed to with Free Community Network, where people can create the news and be their own media at a local level in every county, in every city across the world. Then they can create their own ads and say, if I don't want to create content, but maybe I'm a business, I want to sell my product, I can create my own ad and then boost that ad to give people like you, Miss Liz, to be able to put that into your post. And did you have to go get them? They want to sponsor you because of your great content. Okay. Well, why do we have to fight for that? Or when you do it in WordPress, you got to have all these plugins, and it's complicated. And then you got to go set up these contracts with these businesses so that they can add it. Or you have to go to Google and get their ad set and put it on your site to make any money, right? Or you got to figure out how to create a commerce store on your site, then sell it. But the hardest part is, how do you get traffic? You got to go to Google and say, please, don't censor me, don't shadow ban me, and get me on there. And if they don't like it, how in the heck do you even know to get on the first page of Google? Because nobody goes to page 2.
Well, and that's my biggest pet peeve, because I have a lot of people that reach out to me and say, Miss Liz, you're not on page 1. I'm like, I am in my own way. I don't need to be right on the top, Miss Liz on the top. No, I want you to Google the second and third and fourth page. I'm not paying you clowns. And I know Google's going to come after me for this, but why do we have to pay for everything, Jason? Why do we have to support them, but they don't support us? Why can they shadow ban us when we don't agree with them? When do we come into a healthy debate of saying, look, this doesn't work for my business, but this might, and I am on the FCN4U, and I've done the podcast, and I put some posts up there. I put the business articles up there and it's a very easy platform to use. So Jason, if you want to share a little bit with the listeners and viewers out there, a little bit about that, we'll bring that slideshow, your presentation up, and then we can kind of describe to the listeners what we're talking about here as well. And we're bringing up some really good, fun, some facts about the law getting educated. And that's what Tea Time is all about, is getting educated. And that's what your T is also, Jason, is, technology, education, and accomplishments. And we can change the world by changing the demanding of the way that, for generations has said, this is the way it needs to go, like filing our taxes.
Yeah, well, the money controls everything. Okay, it controls our news, it controls our corporations, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and we get smaller and smaller and smaller, and the middleman gets hurt, right? So what we did with Free Community Network. Now, are you seeing my website here?
I'm seeing a bunch of little boxes. Before I pull it up, I don't want to put anything up for the listeners.
This is Free Community Network. Are you not seeing Free Community Network?
Yep, gotcha.
Okay. All right. So if you're presenting this, I'm not sure if you are because I can't see your screen.
Yes.
Okay. So this is what Free Community looks like. It looks like YouTube and Rumble. The only difference between it is it's not just video. These are all got video in them. But for an example, these are all different posts, and it's just like a blog. And it's a massive big blog with every category in the world that you can think of. You can scroll through here and just click on health. Okay. And if you want to learn about, and this tells everybody who's creating health. Okay. So that means if you're doing something in politics, now you found out what's in health, right? If you want to look at for the law, you type in LAW, and now there's 60 posts on the law. There's 43 images, there's 94 videos, and there's 0 audio for it. When you click on it, it will pull up all of the posts on the law. Okay. That's a keyword or a tag that you can put in any one of your posts. And then you can scroll through there and find it. Know your Constitution. If you don't know who Carl Miller is, you need to watch that, because the Constitution of the United States is so important. And he talks about how do you fight for stuff. We should never have a driver's license. That's another contract that we do, because if I'm driving in the public, that's free. That's the free world. Okay. Why do you need a license to drive? Well, he talks about that and how you can fight that, going back with the Constitution and the amendments and the Supreme Court wins that we've got all over the place. So it's a great video. And then Jordan Maxwell talks about the same thing of how the law, these guys have been teaching this since the 50s and 40s about the Constitution and the law, except for they've been suppressed. Nobody knows about these people. Okay. So I highly suggest go out there and create an account. And in this one here, I'm actually helping this guy with his website. So if you go up here, you can create any type of content you want. And it's very simple to do. When you can create a post by clicking on this post right here. I clicked on it 3 times, and when I'm presenting, it doesn't come up. You just title it, put the category, enter your keywords. You need at least 3. Then you can actually pick an area and say this is local content, or if not, you can say it's a global content. We've got all kinds of images that you can do, personal images, global. You can upload your own. We've got all kinds of free images that you could use in your post. We got animations or icons all through here. And then you can go through on here and write your content. Okay. And then what we have is in here is tools, images, videos. So you can add a video here. Let me just show you how easy it is to add a video. I'm going to do Rumble instead of YouTube. And I'm going to take, let's just go to Rumble and pick a video. Okay. And then I know this is taking a little time, but let me just say, if I want to pick this video here that's on Rumble, all I have to do is grab this embed, and I'm going to be able to do this exactly with TikTok and with X and any system where you can go in here and delete that current link, and boom. And now you have content, that exact same post, and then you could center it. And then you got through here, you can add more keywords. So this is actually searchable, and you can put your own ads up here. When we build that out, you're going to be able to put your own banner ads inside of here. We've got so many tools that you can do within here. Now, when you click on the pencil again, you can click on the pencil, go to styles, and now you can put all kinds of styles around your post, okay, around that content. So you can make it any way you want. You can write, and then you can put multiple content in here. So for example, maybe I want to put a really nice divider inside of here. So we got all kinds of dividers that you can put inside of your content. Okay. And there's hundreds of different styles that you could pick. And then you could center them and just drag them to make them bigger or smaller and go in there and change the colors. Okay. So these are the type of things that you can do in here. And then you've got all of these things. You can do images, you can do podcasts, gallery of images, you can curate somebody else's content, give them credit for their work, and they're doing it. And by the way, I'm not stealing this video, even though I didn't create that video from Rumble. I'm curating it. Okay. And it gives them all the credit and all the traffic and all the link. Okay. You can do the same thing in WordPress. We got buttons, we got countdown timers, we got all kinds of different tools that you can put in there. Maps, you can put your files. Like if you want to put a file container in here, you can add another file container and you can put Excel, Word, PowerPoint, PDF. So you can give people files. Okay. It's your content. And then you can put related posts in here. And then you can go in here and type in another related post that you created or somebody else created that is related to your subject. So there's all these different ways. And in the future, we're going to be able to have events, and then you're going to be able to put in here your banner ads. Now, you didn't have to go create that banner ad, or if you did, you could put your own banner ad in it. Or if somebody's boosting the banner ad, it gives you the opportunity based upon your category, what banner ad would show up in here. Okay. Oh, just phenomenal ways to manage it. So then you can go back through here and manage all of your content. I'll discard that because that's not something I want to post. But now you can go see all of your content, and then you can edit that post. You can delete it. You can hide it. Okay. And then you're going to be able to boost it, and you're going to see all the analytics related to that post. Now, what's really cool about this, if I go back to the law, and I know I'm going all over the place, you can still hear me, right?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So now if you go into images and you look at images or even post, you can actually click on this image and find out what's going on. Now, in the future, we're going to have the analytics right here. And this image will tell you how many people, how many views, unique views, and impressions or clicks that image drove. And then you can go through here and say, well, here's the keywords that are tied to it. Here's all the posts that are linked to that. And here's all of the media that's linked to that. Okay. So you can find all it out. And then right here could be another ad. And that ad will be set up by us because people can promote their own ad, like a 400 or 300 by 300 ad here. And anybody that uses that image can go back to here, and you go to images, and you can see all the images that are created that are global images for the world. Okay. And then you can go through here and say what posts are linked to that image. Now, this one here is not linked because it's a featured image, but we changed that logic so that you can see what images or what videos or what posts are linked to that image. Okay. Now, a couple of them won't be, but there will be other ones that are out there. And then you could search by your local community. So you can find out what content in your local community just by clicking one button, and it will fill it all in and find all of the local content for you that is created for your county or your city or your state. So you can filter that.
So Jason, we have a couple questions that are coming in for you. How do we get the traffic?
You get the traffic by creating content. Other people content brings content in. So just like, how did you know I'll go to Google? Because over time, you're going to have FCN4U will be the main site that you'll go to. Okay. And it'll be its own search engine over time. Because the more people who create content, the more powerful FCN becomes, just like Google.
So for the FCN4U, it's going to be the new search engine, correct, Jason?
It will be. We're also looking at creating our own browser. So we'll have our own browser and our own Web3 browser with our own Web3 domain. We're also probably looking at changing the name also, because it may be Monto.media, because we're going to be going into private territories, okay, and getting out of the federal government and then the corporations. So we are looking at partnering with Monto Media, which is going to be a whole nother domain. Okay.
And another question we have for you, Jason, is this global or is it just for the United States?
Nope, it'll be global for every country in the world. And you'll be able to filter in, and you'll be able to create your own homepage Once you log in and become a member, you can create your own homepage. But we still have to develop that. Like I said, we're only 40% done, because right now these are all posts, but then you'll be able to see all images, all videos. So right now, most of these videos are Rumble and YouTube. We'll be able to do our own live stream in here and host our own video and live streams directly through here. And again, you can click on this and find out all of the information about that video and what it's linked to. Okay.
And another question we have for you, Jason. Another question we have here is, how do we give acknowledgement for the creator? Like, you're getting the videos from Rumble and YouTube. How do we give that appreciation to those creators?
By that's their embed link. So if you actually go into this,
thank you for your support.
It goes directly to
Citizens
Rumble.
in need
You can go directly
had
to
been
Rumble.
redirected to programs for housing non-citizens in Illinois.
Sorry.
This misallocation field.
There we go. Sorry, it plays right there. Now you go directly to YouTube or Rumble. Okay. By the embed automatically gives them the link and the credit. The embed does, because this is embedded this is YouTube. These are Rumble's videos. Okay. And Devolution is awesome. If you haven't watched Devolution, you got to watch them. These guys are awesome at what they do for content creation. Great people. Did I answer your question?
And what social media platforms can we share to on your platform?
That's an excellent question. That's an excellent question. You can share it with any social media platform, just like anything else. You click on it, and at the very bottom, you can go directly to here and share on Facebook, LinkedIn, FCN4U, Twitter, whatever, True Social, Getter, whatever you got your account set up, you can share it on these accounts. Okay, as long as you have an account with them, you can share it on them.
And are you Jason, another question we have here, are you looking for investors or partnerships?
I actually am looking for investors and partnerships. The current investors that I have, I'm doing a 10x return on their money. So that may take us a year or two to actually get income coming in from this, but we'll probably about 6 months. And then once we do that, we'll set up a contract with you, and we'll do 10x return on the money that you invest into this. So if it's $1,000 or if it's $10,000 or $1 million, you get 10x return. I don't really care. It's not about the money. It's about freedom. Okay. The money's not important. What's important here, because when you go over to this website and you look at google.com, they made $237 billion in 2023 alone. And they have 4.3 billion users. Imagine what we'll be able to do in a year or two from now. We're going to be able to, all of this, if you look at these, how many billions of dollars that they're using, if we get 1% of that, I have no problem returning that money. That's easy. Okay. So the content is king. Okay. And Bill Gates said this, content is king. This is a good, important point. Without content, you'll never have a reader. And without readers, you'll never have advertisers. It's simple. So let's allow everybody in the world to create content where you become the new media. And then the advertisers, that money should 100%, right now it's a 90-10 rule. Once we build out the advertising agency, 90% of that money goes to the content creators and 10% will go to FCN4U. But eventually it'll be 100% of all that ad revenue goes to the content creators. If you're driving the traffic, the content creators should make the money, because that's who the content creators are, the key to this whole thing. Okay. And Bill Gates said it perfectly. Content is king. Without the content, you'll never have anybody reading your website. And that's the hardest part when you try to go all by yourself, all by your own lonesome and having your own domain, your own website, when WordPress or Wix. How do you get traffic? You got to advertise.
Yep.
Well, everybody else who's creating content is your advertisers, because whoever creates this content, those readers and followers will find somebody that's creating different content for this guy and organically see their content. Okay. And what I love about this is you don't actually have to be a content creator. You could be a content sharer, which is a content curation. You curate it, and we give you all the free tools to curate your content and then put your own banner ads in there or banner ads inside there and make money doing it. The goal here is we want you to make money. We'll have our own store. We'll have our own legal documents, and you'll be able to go in here and look at anybody who's following you. We got light mode, dark mode, all of that stuff. And then you got to go up here. You'll see all of your, you'll eventually have a new wallet. You can look at all of your media. You're currently, if your images are global or personal. Okay. The difference between personal is only you get to see these images, but if it's in global, everybody in the world can reuse that image, and it helps drive traffic to you. Because if they use your image in their post, somebody looks at that post, clicks on that image, now you are making money with that image, because that image will have an ad underneath. And then somebody clicks on that ad, the person who created that image makes that money. Okay, not the image.
Jason, we have another question here for you. What about copyrights?
That's a good question. Everything on here has got to be royalty free. And that's part of the legal documents in here. When you look at the legal document, it has to be your content. If not, if it's not your content and you made a mistake, what you can do is click on this. And if you're the owner of it, I got to find something that I have a image for. Let me go to my own images. I can delete it. Okay. And then that deletes it out of everybody's post if somebody else is using this image. Okay. So we had to have a way to manage that. And in every image, so right here, I can delete that and delete that image, and it will be deleted across the entire website. Because if it's not your image and you made a mistake, or somebody, there will be a flag here that you'll be able to flag this as a image that needs to be a work. It will go to, this is the cool thing about this, it's going to go to a common law court where you get to address that issue with that image if it's not your image. And then if it's not your image and finds out that wasn't, you weren't the original creator of that image, you have to go delete it. Okay. But if you own it and you worked it out and you don't need to go to common law court, you can just delete that image, and it gets removed off of everybody's posts and across the website. And a generic placeholder will be in place of that image. So that's a great question. Everything needs to be royalty free in order for this to work.
Yeah, we have some really good questions coming in. So I'm just trying to get the ones that need to get answered, that I feel that need an answer to. We have other questions like, can anyone create an account? Do you have to be a business to create it?
Nope. Anybody in the world can create an account. Now we're going to be setting up two-factor authentication, or KYC, because we don't want anybody under 18 years old having a wallet, and we don't allow porn. We'll have AI built into this to prevent porn from coming on this website. Right now, if whatever you post goes directly to the homepage, there is no AI built into it. But that's the next thing that we're building on, is AI, so that if you have a pornographic image here, it won't allow you. It goes directly into your do not allow box, and we'll have to work out the rules for that. But the other area, which I don't show here, is events. Events is going to be massive. And so I worked on Tesla Tech. I did a conference in August of last year, or this year. And we're going to set up an event. So that's how I designed this thing, so that you can have a table. I can't show it to you now because we're still in development for that. But when you create an event, it'll look exactly like creating a post, except for in here will be a table, and you get to set it up and have a registry. And inside of your profile, you'll be able to go to your own calendar. And when you're on your laptop, when we get our mobile device done, you'll be able to go to your own calendar and click on it and go directly to that event and get all the information related to that event. We'll have direct messaging. We'll have events, direct messaging. We'll have notifications. We'll have anything that every other website will have, except for all consolidated in one massive system.
So Jason, how do we protect people's data on the platform?
On the back end of the website, we're looking at NFTs as protecting your data. So everybody's account could be an NFT along with your images and your video. And that NFT, you could sell it. But remember, if you have an image or a website, this is public. So protecting your data is, we have our own data storage. And I'm working with another team that I'm working with in Phoenix, and we're looking at setting up our own data center on an Indian reservation to protect the data on the back end. Right now, I'm using Amazon and Rumble hosting. And so right now in the back end, I'm working still with Rumble. It's not completely set up yet, but we're going to be protecting that, putting it in our own data. We have a whole data structure of how we protect our back end systems. Let me go into that real quick and show you the architecture layer of what we've done. Okay. So when you look at this slide here, and I'm going to share this slide, in our backend system, we have, we've got everything set up as APIs and controlled all the way down in our microservices with all of our databases. We use third-party databases and not using Amazon databases. We got our own notification rabbit, so we're not controlled by Amazon. We can move from one system or do load balancing in different geographical locations, because we got to have load balancing in performance. So there's a detailed architecture layer and a microservice layer that we use to pull all this data together to protect people's data. Each one of these are done by Kubernetes containers with Docker on top of it, and each one has its own servers and memory loaded to it. So there's performance plus security. And if you break into one area, you can't break into all the other ones, because all of them are separate APIs and user IDs to get into it. It's very similar to blockchain. Okay.
Another question we have for you, Jason, is do you guys use any VPNs?
Yeah, we use Cloudflare right now to do load balancing across geographical locations and across the world. So it's not like a VPN like on your PC. It's more of the architecture on the back end that allows us to protect the people's data from DDoS attacks and from viruses and so forth to be loaded in.
Have you had any complaints of viruses on the platform yet?
Not yet. No. But granted, we're going to be attacked. We're going to have issues here and there, and when we do, we'll have to just address them and we come to them. So, yeah, there will be problems down the road.
So, I'm just going to close the slideshow, and I'm going to bring you up a little bit so we can have a couple of words before we wrap it up, because we're almost at the end here. Jason, with the I want to get it right, FCN4U.
And you know what? That's been the biggest issue, is the name. Okay, we're looking at Motto Media as a new name. So I'm looking for ideas, and if somebody has another business name idea, we're looking at changing it. Because FCN4U is a little difficult for people to say and memorize. And that's called
the letters, right? Because it's more of an acclimate, right?
Yeah, free community network. We want to make this free for everybody in the world, and it's got to be a network, and it's got to be community. It's got to be local, so that the local communities. When I did election integrity, the biggest issue that most people came to me is there's nobody talking in our local community about what's going on. And how do I get information? And it takes so much money to build our own website, and the technology to get over that technology curve is too much for a lot of these local communities to do. So that's why we're building this for the local communities. And it actually gives us you think about it, how many small towns are there in just the United States? Massive. And they don't have they can only advertise at a global level. So of course, you can go into Google and advertise to a zip code, or even in Facebook. So we'll be able to do the same thing. Is those advertisers can now focus on their own local communities and search and find their local content all in one platform.
Well, I think it's really cool. And like when we first connected, I was like, oh, this is pretty different, and I'm not a fan of Google. A lot of people know that. Because they do censor, they do shadow ban, they pick and choose what they want on the first page. Whether you pay for your ads or all of that stuff, they pick and choose. So, Jason, do you work with Google at all?
No, not at all. No, everything is done privately in a private I would say privately in our own private world, because we don't want to work with these major corporations. We want to be completely out of a corporation. We are not going to be a corporation. Eventually, I want to step back and say, this is the people's system. Okay. And it needs to be open source so that people know what the heck's going on with the data on the back end. And I don't need to be another Mark Zuckerberg. I don't really care to be making $34 million a month. You know what I mean? Who cares? That's not what's important. You know what's important? People in our families, in our communities. We have to get back to the people in the family and the communities in order to bring the power back to the people. Because when I did elections, I was like, well, I'm Republican and Democrat. That's bull crap. I don't give a crap. You're my neighbor and you're a Democrat, and my other neighbor's a Republican. We're Americans. Why doesn't the best man or women win our elections? It has nothing to do with politics. If you want to flip in elections, get half the people Democrat and the other half Republican. Matter of fact, you got 50% of the job already done for you. The people, and they don't even know it. So our elections are fake, they're fraud, and they are 100% fight. Because I could go into a lot of detail on our elections, but it's got to get back to paper ballots. Otherwise, and then we could have down the road electronic stuff, but it's got to be open source. It's got to be publicly viewable to everything. Okay. I know I'm getting off on elections, but they're so important.
It goes right back, Jason, it goes right back to people, right? That's people for the people. Like it's said all the time. We're for the people. Well, then work for the people. Actually work with us, connect with us, align with us. Don't pick and choose what you want to do, and funding, like all the funding, like you mentioned, like all the money, it doesn't even go towards the changes. It goes towards the corporations first. They get their dibs first.
What if you didn't have taxes to pay? And what if you didn't have, you had free energy and you didn't have to have electricity, or you didn't have to pay for electricity or gas or any of this? How much money would you have? Do you really need to make $100,000 a year? What you need is just enough to be able to do commerce between your fellow man and you, right? And then you're free, right? We don't need to be, I'm going to get my better house than my neighbor. I mean, I want to live in a nice house. I want to have a nice car. I want to have nice things too, but I don't need to have $1 billion sitting there. But by the way, money's nothing. It's about, it needs to be exchange. The exchange needs to happen, and that needs to be very cheap for the people. That's why we're looking at our own cryptocurrency, so that you could actually be part of that and make part of that exchange, that gas fees that's going back. Why aren't you making a percentage of that money instead of the bankers? And have your own wallet where you are the bank and not the banker, because that's where we're headed to. And that's
the thing that really gets under my skin, Jason, and a lot of my listeners know this, is you might have a big fancy home, but you still bleed red. We all are human beings. Where do we stop forgetting about humanity? Right. And your big house, when a hurricane comes in, it doesn't pick and choose what house it's taken down. It's going for your house too. Like, these are the things that we need to start looking at. We need to start looking at humanity again, start looking at people and our brothers and sisters. And my grandfather inbred this in me, and he's the barter and trade. Help your neighbor. If you're going to make a sandwich, the neighbor next door might have the butter. The next neighbor might have the mayo, the tomatoes. Work together. And this is where the farmers all come in and agriculture comes in, is they all work together. It's all a proceeds, like a produce line where we all work together. I got the seed, I got the water, I got the fertilizer. We all got to start working together. And that's what I liked about your platform when you reached out to me, Jason, was we're working together. We're building together. And it's not, I got more money than you, so I can do more than you. I'm a bigger content creator than you, then I get more views. It's about bringing people together and working together. And that's what Teatime is about as well, is, bringing people together, all walks of life. Whether you're male, female, if you want to be a cat, be a cat. Miss Liz doesn't care. I just care about bringing people together and showing that when we start working together, we start making impact. We start making changes, and it is for the people. Jason, what final message would you like to leave everybody with about
Well,
the platform?
I've had questions people ask me, how are you going to stop misinformation or fake news or any of that with this website? And it's a very good point. The answer is you're not. You can't. Just because you post something and you may not realize it may not be real, or it may be that it actually didn't happen exactly that way. We as people have to be smart enough to know what's fake, what's not. Use your head, use your heart, and use your stomach. If this doesn't feel right or doesn't look right, then maybe I shouldn't follow them. And you're going to say, well, if they have 1 million followers and they're making all this money, they're doing that. All you have to do is screw up once. Okay. And your profile's hosed. Okay. And if I'm not going to censor anybody's data. Okay. Now, sexual content, absolutely can allow that. But if you're going to put something up there, your reputation means something. And if you can't build your reputation and keep a good reputation, people will sniff that out and you won't make any money. Because your money's going to go down because your viewership's going to do. You're not going to have the followers, and you're not going to have the people liking your stuff and all that, because we're going to be able to build an incentive program. And so if you have good content, one of the other thing that we do in there is we're going to rate a post. Meaning, if just like going to a movie, if you go to a movie, you want to know if it's rated R or rated G. Well, what if the video or the post has sexual content in it? Well, then that'll be rated as an S, or violence, or language, or good content. So you'll be able to go up there before you even open up the post. You're going to see the rating on the post. Well, that rating can be turned into a monetary. So everybody who's creating good content will get a bigger percentage of the money that's being created through the website. Because not only the banner ads you make money, we can also base it on ranking. And we have our own analytics. We're not using Google. It's all our own information built from scratch. And I'm also taking people's advice. So if they want to get a hold of me, go to jason.jehorex@protonmail.com, and they can send me information. And I'll get on a webinar with you or a Zoom call, and we'll talk about what it is that we can do to help you, because we want to make sure that it's open to everybody, that we can create tools, not just specifically for you, but that will help everybody. And then everybody could use those tools. So everybody has the same equal opportunity to make money. And you're not pigeon one person whole. Like if Tucker Carlson came in here, right? He's got a massive system. All he has to do is start screwing up a little bit on his message, and people start following him. He's not going to make it. Okay. Yeah. He won't be making that big bucks.
That goes right back to the hurricane, right? It doesn't matter how many followers you have. If that hurricane's coming for you, it's coming for you. You have 1 million followers one day, and the next day you have no followers because you've been wiped out. But I think it all comes right back to common sense. We need to start bringing common sense back to the world. Exactly. That's number one, is common sense. So Jason, if anybody wanted to reach out to you or have you speak or anything, how could they reach you?
Yeah, the best way is to go to jason.jehorex, JEHOREK, @protonmail.com. I am also on Facebook. I'm on Google. I'm on Twitter. I'm on all the platforms. But to be honest with you, I'm not doing a lot on those platforms. I'm not posting a lot out there. I'm more into the development side, planning, developing it, working with trying to figure out how the wallet's going to work and all that. So if you don't email me, that's going to be the main place to do it. But if you could put a comment out there, that's fine. I may not get to it right away.
Well,
so,
it was
social media.
A real pleasure, Jason. And I like to have these conversations. And you don't know where Miss Liz is going next year, because Miss Liz's podcast is closing in December. So again, everybody, I want you to check out all of these incredible guests that have been on Teatime. Whether you watch it in a year from now, maybe what Jason is bringing to the table is only going to be for you in a year, and if you see a guest from season 1 and you want to tune into that one, be sure to check that one out as well. These guests are for you guys to get educated with. All of my Teatimes are teaching educational awareness from all walks of life. And Jason, it brings the free speech and censorship and protecting your data, because I think it's deeply important. So Jason, what's your final word before we wrap up?
Anybody can go to FCN4U.com, number 4U.com, and register. And you can register now, and you can start creating content right now. Okay. So the content creation portion is done, and it's ready for everybody to use in the world. Okay. You just need to register and then confirm your email, and then you can create content. Okay. And get everything set up. And then there's also a place for support. I mean, there's a lot more detail in there. There's a lot of information in there that you can get to. So that's my closing content. If you really want to, get on there, start creating your account. If you have problems, email me, jason.jehorex@protonmail.com.
Well, thank you so much, Jason. It was a real pleasure to sit with you and to get to know a little bit more about the platform. I will be back at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Dr. Z, and we'll be talking about menopause matters. That's right. We're going to talk about female and male menopause because it does affect both genders. So we'll be talking about that tonight at 7 p.m. And then we're going to be back on the 28th, and we're going to have Kyle Kuhn coming in, and he'll be talking about Paralympics. He went to the Olympics in Paris, and he is in the Special Olympics. So we're going to talk about his journey and his story. And then we're going to wrap it up with, I think his name is Jason Christen. I'm trying to remember all the names, guys. I got from the Sad podcast, Sad Time podcast, and we'll be wrapping that up. And anybody that's looking to be on that podcast can find out more information with Jason when he comes on as well. So stay tuned. We're going to have a couple more people coming on, and then we're going to wrap up the tea. And thank you so much, Jason, again, for joining me today. And the press release for December's lineup and final lineup for season 5 and for Miss Liz's Teatimes will be released on the 24th of November. So stay tuned for all of that. If you'd like to know more about Miss Liz, go over to my website at www.misslizsteatime.com. Leave your feedback as well. Miss Liz is looking for opportunities and collaborations as well. And check out the support and collaborations. You'll also see Jason there with his partner, John, so you can reach out to them as well. So again, thank you guys for listening, and keep serving your teas and keep being real and being true to yourselves. And let's bring strong teas to the world to make a difference.
Thank you, Miss Liz, for your time. Appreciate it.